line has to give it up, that's terrible.
Rule 24A. At each moment of the game, there shall exist, as between any two or more players in the proximity of the ball, a right-of-way, which shall be considered to extend ahead of the player entitled to it and in the direction in which the player is riding. Rule 24B. The right-of-way is not to be confused with the line of the ball, nor does it depend on who last hit it.
The line of the ball just establishes the direction of the right-of-way.
To depict this right-of-way and distinguish it from the line of the ball, we will use a graphic lane similar to that used in the Blue Book.
Well, in order to get the people in the clinics to understand what the right-of-way is, first I try to get them to understand what it physically is, okay? And what it physically is, it is a space that you occupy to go to the ball to be able to hit the ball on your right side, okay? Now that's differentiated from what does the right-of-way give you. The right-of-way gives you the right to hit the ball on the right side if you have established yourself in that space. It's like a lane, huh? It's like a freeway, a highway.
Most fouls occur because one player crosses into the right-of-way lane of another. Here, the player in the dark jersey fouls by crossing into his opponent's right-of-way lane after he hits a near-side back shot.
After a near-side shot is taken, the most frequently called foul is after the ball is hit. They may be parallel, but they drift across the line.
The player with the line of the ball closest to the off or right side, in this case the player in the light jersey, is generally entitled to the right-of-way. The light player has established himself in the offside lane and is therefore entitled to an offside shot. The player in the dark jersey, who has the near side only, fouls the light player twice, first by crossing over to take an offside shot and again by hitting into his pony. A player who safely places the line of the ball on his offside and can keep it there without crossing has the right-of-way. The player in the light jersey hits a near-side forward shot, then crosses behind his opponent in the offside lane to ask for an offside play at the ball. The dark player does not foul by making an offside backhander, as he started and stayed on the offside of the line. The physical dimensions of the right-of-way will vary somewhat. Essentially, the right-of-way extends from the left side of the player's horse to the furthest point at which he realistically needs to place the ball for the shot he is about to make.
The problem with defining it as wide as a person can reach is the tendency for a person to reach for that ball way out, and then he brings his horse over in front of another horse that may be following the proper right-of-way. So I define it as the width of a lane that a horse can comfortably gallop down next to the ball without being over the top of the ball. And there's some leeway sideways in that, but not a whole lot.
In this example, the player in the light jersey drifts out of the right-of-way. After vacating the right-of-way, the light player swings too wide in making his turn to reclaim it, allowing his opponent to cut inside. By failing to keep the ball at a realistic distance, the light player gives up his right-of-way and a play on the ball.
You're given an area in which to get to the ball, and you have a little bit of playing room so that you can make a little bit of a maneuver to adjust to get to the ball correctly. Once you get out of those dimensions, you're out of the right-of-way. And if your left stirrup starts hanging out of the right-of-way on the left side, on the shoulder side of the lane, then you're starting to get into a dangerous area to where you're opening up the right-of-way to the inside for somebody to come up on the inside of you.
The width of the right-of-way lane may vary according to the shot a player is attempting to make. A player who is intentionally placing the ball further away or who is attempting to reach a ball that is bounced away is entitled to a wider lane. Here, the player in the right-of-way is forced to reach out for a ball that is bounced away from his mount, but which is still at a realistic distance for him to attempt a shot.
I'd say 2 or 3 feet is guaranteed. After that, it's a judgment call.
The right-of-way also extends ahead of the player or players entitled to it. Here, the player in the light jersey, approaching from the offside, fails to look back and see that the players behind him are established on the line of the ball, and therefore entitled to the right-of-way. By dropping into and across their lane, and by entering their extended right-of-way, light fouls.
Now, entering does not mean you have to go 5 feet inside of that right-of-way. Entering merely means that once you cross the yellow line on the shoulder side of the road and the last layer of chrome on your bumper gets across that yellow line, you are now in my right-of-way. You are in my lane. And when the last layer of chrome that was put on your stirrup enters into this lane that I'm occupying, you are fouling.
The extended right-of-way is the distance necessary to cross in front of an oncoming player or players who are established in the right-of-way lane. Although the player in the dark jersey makes a safe play on the first player in the light jersey, he dangerously interferes with the second, who, by following along the line of the ball, is also entitled to his share of the right-of-way and safe access to the ball. Foul on dark.
Instead of entering the right-of-way, they come at the right angle, they make the hook, and then the second player, the line continues forward and backwards, And sometimes by doing this play, they don't foul the first guy, they make a good play on the first guy, but, as they go across, they foul the second man. And some people, even the high player, they say, they don't understand why there was a foul. But actually, that's a big foul.
Blocking a player's right-of-way, as in this example, is a foul. By improperly executing his ride-off, the player in the dark jersey slides across in front of his opponent, impeding his safe access to the ball. A player can also violate the right-of-way by encroaching from the side. As the player in the dark jersey turns, he drifts over into his opponent's offside lane, denying him safe access to the ball. Foul on the dark.
If you can ensure the safety by emphasizing the fact that we have to have the safety zone, then you can see where the movements, even if a guy's on a slower horse and one's on a faster horse, they can make all these very graceful movements as long as they separate and give the ball enough room. They give the ball enough room on both sides, then everybody can sweep in and make these plays.
Watch the second pair of players. In this play, as in the last, the defender in the dark jersey does not give the ball enough room, allowing his horse to cross into the right-of-way of his opponent. Now compare the first and second pair of players. Notice that the first pair of players make the correct play on the ball, each on his own side. But in the second pair, the player in the dark jersey enters his opponent's lane and prevents him from making a play on the ball by placing his horse on top of it. Foul on the dark player. A player waiting to make a defensive play on his opponent will often permit a portion of his horse to hang into the right-of-way. The dark player turns and establishes himself in the offside right-of-way lane as the number 2 light opponent approaches from the near side. The player in the light jersey allows his horse's head over the line, blocking the right-of-way of his opponent in the dark jersey and his safe access to the ball. Foul on light. Here, light also infringes on dark's right-of-way with the head of his pony while making a defensive play. The angle of light's approach causes the head of his pony to enter dark's right-of-way lane. Although light never actually crosses the line of the ball, he violates his opponent's right-of-way and endangers both ponies. Foul on light. Here, the player in the light jersey denies 2 opponents safe access to the ball. Watch the number 3 player in the light jersey. After blocking the first dark player's right-of-way with the front of his horse, the light player angles to the left, leaving the back of his horse as an obstacle for the second dark player. Foul on light.
Actually, it makes the game very dangerous, because if this guy actually will run into you, he will cut the back legs and he will either go down or will knock you down. But once again, that cuts the continuity of the game and the fluidness of the game. That's one of the biggest and most forgotten fouls in polo. The blocking of the right-of-way or giving the back legs to the people coming with the ball.
Player's attempt to take more than his fair share of the right-of-way is commonly referred to as manufacturing a line. By turning behind the dark player's pony and appealing for a foul, This opponent hopes to make it appear as though he were being crossed, while both actually have safe access up to the line and on past the ball.
The right-of-way does not change by your movements. The right-of-way changes by the direction of the ball.
In this example of manufacturing a line, a player attempts to give the illusion a foul has been committed by the opponent. Watch as the player on the dark pony, on the near side of the line, crosses behind the player on the white pony, who is established on the off side of the line. Again, the player's purpose is to claim a play not rightfully earned by creating the illusion of a foul.